has stopped running, there is 150 pounds per square inch pressure inside this metal container. So obviously compressors are kind of dangerous, because if we don't maintain the compressor tank, it could explode, right? Like that's a scary thing. They don't do that very often, but if you see rust and stuff starting, we gotta say so. We get rid of it and we get a new one, right? So there are two ways to release pressure from here. So I'm going to show you one. It's loud, right? When I pull it, it starts, because that's a lot of pressure, right? It starts to push out. The other way is on the bottom of the tank, and it's right here. It's this little lever. If I turn it over, so come over and take a look. You can see at the moment that the tank's got 150 pounds of pressure and the outlets have 150 pounds of pressure. So this is an air hose. This is the male end, it goes into the female end. There's a male end of the tool, goes into the female end of the hose. At the moment, there's no way I could get this into there, because I can't push over the 150 pounds of pressure. It's too strong for me. So this right here, when I pull this up, I'm gonna release the pressure to the outlets. So I'm going to turn it all the way down, and you can hear some of the air coming out. So now the outlet has zero pressure. Now I can take this and push it in, no problem. And to release it, it's a quick release like the impact driver. You pull that back, it pops it out. Same with this side. Push in, pull back, and it releases it. Okay? So now we've got the air hose attached. Now I can turn the pressure back up to whatever I want it to be at. So I'm going with about 90 pounds of pressure at the moment. So now I'm going to shut the tank off. I hit that down, no one can change the pressure up and down. So now I've got approximately 90 pounds. Good morning. 90 pounds of pressure in this hose. Now, it's not pushing out of the end yet, because it needs a tool for it to go into. Morning, Shaka, how are you? Pardon me? Okay, we're doing a video of how to do this, so.
You want to videotape it?
No, it's okay, he's got it. So I grab the other end, and now we see a female end, and we see a male end, right? Before I use a pneumatic tool, each and every time before I use a pneumatic tool, Brian, lock it up behind you for the noise? Thanks. I'm going to take the oil, and I just have to put a drop in. I got like 3 in there. It only needs 1 drop, right? So now what the air is going to do is it's going to push that oil all around the tool to make sure it stays lubricated. So now, all right, so I have to, that's how I release it. I pinch back, I push in, and let go. Okay, so now it's attached. Now this tool itself is a pinner. So it is the smallest nail that you can put into something from a tool, right? Very small nails. They're about the thickness of a hypodermic needle. Now the one thing that's tricky with this is, most pneumatic tools, you have to push down and then pull the trigger. This part here pushes back, that's the safety, and then you pull the trigger. This one doesn't have that. If I pull this trigger, see how it moves it out of the way? If I pull that trigger, it's gonna shoot. So this one can be a little bit, that's why this one's a little more finicky. I will show you how small the nails are. So, other thing you should know, this dial right here, on some of them there's a dial at the top. It directs which way the wind blows out of the tool, right? Safety glasses are on. I'm gonna put it down, I'm gonna pull the safety up, and that's it. It's tiny, but that's the nail that's just gone through, right? And why is it so that's dangerous, right? No one's gonna see that, they're gonna step on it, they're gonna get hurt. So that's why I'm just gonna bend it over. So if you were doing something, when you can put the tool down, if I was doing something very, very delicate, let's take this and this. This is hardwood. Actually, that's an expensive piece of wood, so I won't use that. Let's take this instead. Let's say I've made something out of wood, but I want to give it a trim. I want to make it look good on the edges, so I'm going to have my trim on it. This is the perfect tool for doing that, because now I've got the tool. You can barely see it, and now I've put trim on it. Oh, it looks sweet, right? That's how people do baseboards. That's how people do trim on fine furniture, okay? So you'll glue and you'll also pin as well, right? Safety, pull the trigger. But if I was to go like that, it's gonna fire the nail out. If I was to ever see that, we got a big problem. Obviously, don't ever put your hand near the business end of it, right? Especially when it's got power to it. Now that I do that, nothing's gonna happen, right? The tool is disengaged. Now, normally if I'd used it for half an hour, I would put another drop of oil in it. That's not the only pneumatic tool we have, but the basis is the same for all of them, okay? The next one's up, as I said, they don't have the safety trigger like this one. You actually have to depress the nose and this part moves up and down. And as you push it down, now you can pull the trigger. We have a roof coil nailer right back here, which takes the pneumatic tool completely to the next level. Okay? So whereas that was dainty, this is not. No. A couple of years ago. So I dropped some pneumatic oil in the end. This one is for shingles on a roof. They're actually 3/4 inch, so we can put shingles in our playhouses without having the nails come through. I attach it the same way. This one, safety is, look, I push down and now it'll fire. Okay? This one actually has a different thing. I'm gonna pull the trigger and I'm gonna push down, and as I go, it's gonna bounce. So the only thing I'm gonna say is I'm gonna put my hand here. Right? So now that's just attached shingles to a roof. That's what they're for. Nice wide heads. Therefore, they only come through a little bit. That goes through the shingle into the sheathing on the roof, and it won't stick through. That's safe for kids. So this tool is a coil nailer. It's called a coil nailer because the nails that go into it are already in a coil. You'll use this later on, but this again, the air always blows away from you on this one. You can't adjust it, but as you're using it, it's blowing, and see how it's oily at the moment? That's because I put the pneumatic oil in and spread it around. That keeps it working. When you're shingling a roof, if you do it by hand with nails, it can take a long time. This you can set up and go, pull the trigger and go ding, 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 right the way along a road, right? Makes it quite convenient and picks up the pace of things. So that's probably, we also have a Milwaukee spike driver, which is 3.5 inch nails for framing. We've never used it with our class. We've used it in certain projects, but usually not the students. So careful you don't get caught up in the hose. Now that we've done that, here's how you let the air out completely. If I was to pull this, it's gonna fire it out because of the pressure. So I lift the lid, I change the pressure down to 0 in the outlet. Now it's down to 0, I can just take it out easily, right? And then I put this away. Now, I'm gonna let the air out of the tank. The tank might let water out of it because when air gets pressurized, the moisture, if it's humid, which I feel it is a little bit today, it could spit some water out. So I'm gonna put it on the ground. I'm gonna turn the dial. Make sure you turn it off, otherwise it'll try and keep running. I've got a little bit of moisture on my hand. You can see some moisture on the floor. When everything reads 0 and is back down, I can pull this pin There's no air coming out. It's very, very key that when you're finished, and you can see the little puddle, it's almost a little icy there because it comes out so quick. I need to turn this back over, because if I leave that open, humid air can go into it and rust it. So we keep it closed at all times, right? And that is how you use a pneumatic tool.